Welcome to Passion and Purpose with Pamela, celebrating all things woman. I'm Dr. Pamela Hardy Shepherd, here to ignite inspiration through conversations that spotlight women's power and their journeys. Let's share our light, our stories, and create a space of celebration for every woman. Here's to embracing our womanhood together. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Passion and Purpose with Pamela. We are so glad that you are here, and I am here today with a special guest. Her name is Betsy Vanausdeln. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming this accomplished individual, varied and impressive career. Betsy's professional journey is both extensive and diverse. A proud veteran, she has served in the Air National Guard while pursuing her BS degree. As an aerospace warning systems operator, she was crucial in tracking aircraft plans and ensuring our skies are safe. And Betsy, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
In a testament to her long life learning, Betsy pivoted her career at 45. Driven by a passion for education and inspired by her family's lineage of educators, she pursued a master's degree in special education, cross-categorical with endorsements in reading and ESL from the University of Phoenix. This decision was influenced by her invaluable experience as a paraeducator and later as a special education teacher serving students with severe behavioral challenges. For the past 13 years, Betsy has been molding the minds of future educators at Ashford University, now known as the University of Arizona Global Campus, as an associate professor in early childhood and special education. Beyond education, Betsy's compassion and commitment to community shine through her current role as the Associate Director of Churches United of the Quad Cities area. She oversees an extensive network comprising of 20 food pantries, a hot meal site, and over 400 dedicated volunteers from 138 member churches serving those in need in Illinois and Iowa. On a personal note, Betsy is celebrating 30 years of marital bliss and is a proud mother of 2 brilliant children. Her daughter, Casey, a University of Northern Iowa graduate, is an art educator shaping young minds in Evansdale, Iowa. Meanwhile, her son, Alex, an alumnus of Iowa State University, is making strides as a mechanical engineer in Pensacola, Florida. Betsy's family have called the Quad Cities home for over 2 decades. Betsy, a beacon of dedication, service, and perseverance. Let's warmly welcome Betsy Vanausdeln. Hey, Betsy, how's it going?
It's going great, Pamela, and thank you very much for having me on.
It's certainly my pleasure, Betsy. We had the opportunity to meet at Ashford University, also known now as the University Global Campus. And so tell the audience a little bit more about yourself and then how we met.
Okay. As Pamela has wrapped it up in a nutshell, I mean, that's basically my life. I live and breathe Churches United, and I absolutely love it. I have always been a volunteer for pretty much church, you name it. You know, if there's a need and they need a body to fill in, I would jump in because that's all I knew was how to volunteer, even when I'm working, 2 full-time jobs or whatever. Because volunteering was instilled in me by both of my parents. My mom was a huge volunteer. She was my Girl Scout leader. She helped at, an ambulance corps. She got me involved in that. And, so that's just all I know. But anyway, so I love volunteering. I love helping people. And yes, don't get me wrong, I've gotten in trouble by over helping, if that's those of you who know. But anyway, even at Ashford University, when it was called that, I headed up the Ashford Heroes at Ashford University. And it was a wonderful organization that we started up there. And we rallied all of them, pretty much probably 80% of the employees up there, helping those in need up in Clinton, Iowa. And it even reached out as far as the Quad Cities. It even reached out to San Diego, where our parent company was. And that's where I met the beautiful Pamela Hardy, because veterans were coming on board to the online campus, and they needed a voice. And so that sparked my interest. And at the time, Dr. Patnaud, who was the president of the university, he's like, oh, we have somebody in Iowa who has the same interest. And so he hooked me up with Dr. Hardy, and I'm so glad he did, because we organized an event which occurred in San Diego, and the name eludes me. Help me out.
I can't.
Oh, it was an event for veterans, and we had like a dentist there, we had clothing there, we had food there, we had showers there, we had a doctor. They all volunteered their time to help out the veterans, and that sparked me. And it's like we tried to get that to happen in Clinton, and they weren't ready for it until 2 years later. But I enjoyed helping with the event that happened in San Diego, and it just touched my heart, because it's like, oh my gosh, this is just so cool. And they were so appreciative, and they need the help. And veterans often get overlooked, and they're like, oh, they got big bucks, they got, assistance from the VA. No, they don't, because they're the first ones that get cut. And that's not fair, because those of us who have been in the military, Dr. Hardy knows as well, we all sign that blank paycheck, and we go in and defend and defend. And even if after we've retired or we've transitioned out of the military, we're still obligated to that blank check that we signed. And it doesn't matter where you are. And, because it's always in your heart, and that's what they taught you. And so it just aligns with everything that I've done.
Wow.
So, but yeah, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to have met you. And I've even traveled out from Iowa to San Diego for, I don't know how many graduations, twice a year.
On your own dime, by the way. She would pay her own way. So
yes.
I want to mention that.
Yes, because I was an associate, or back then we weren't called associates, but I was just an online instructor. And so I wasn't a full professor or, anything like that. But it's like, to me, it was important, because I'm teaching these students, and some of the names that would walk across the stage, I'm like, I was their biggest cheerleader. I'm like, yes. And I'd go find them and everything and give them a hug. And they're like, oh, you're Miss Betsy. And it's like, and it was just, it's heartwarming to put a name with the face. And it's just truly my way, in my heart, it was my way of giving back, and to the hard work that the students did. And I got to attend the veterans events out there, honoring the veterans. And, Dr. Hardy and I think we were instrumental in this change in the graduation ceremony.
I think so.
Dr. Patnaud started it. And he'll announce each one of the students, and this tradition is still going on. Whoever was in the Navy, please stand up. And we all clap for the students, because many of these students are veterans, and they're on the ships and everything, defending our country and attending these classes. And so he went through all of the military groups and everything. And then he turned to us, the faculty, and said, will the faculty who are also veterans please stand up? And all the students, everybody was seated down. And when there was so many of us faculty who were there, and I'm getting chills now. We would stand up, and they're like, oh, and a realization hit that we're just like them. Mm-hmm. And that was when I knew that I was in the right place. And so I continued on that path of education and helping veterans and volunteering and doing all I can to help people, because it does mean a lot to me. And I give my whole heart to it. But yeah, so
Oh,
Dr. Hardy and I,
does.
that
I just
was
want to
our,
put something in here. Whatever Betsy does, she is committed. She's all in. She's all in. She doesn't do anything halfway. Betsy commits fully. It doesn't matter what she's doing. And I'm going to give you an example. The first example I can give you was grant writing class. Betsy was totally committed, and the class would go 6 weeks. Betsy would follow everything, watch every video, do every exercise. And in her fourth week, Betsy was awarded $10,000. Now, it's hard enough to get other students to do what they need to do, but not Betsy. I don't care what she does, she will do it fully committed. And that's what we have to do. We can't say this is what we want, and then we're not willing to go and do what it takes to get it. So I commend you. That is who you are. You are passionate, and you're always committed to doing exactly what you say you want. And then we can take a note out of her playbook. So
yeah.
tell us some more, Betsy.
Oh, well, I've learned, I guess I'd like to say I've gotten smarter over the years. And when I was young and foolish, or young and not very well seasoned, I always thought, oh, I want to be a manager. I want to be the leader. I want to be this. Well, you know what? That is a good goal to reach for. And I've had to learn the hard way. You can't just become a manager if you don't have the skill set. And one thing I do teach my future teachers in my classroom is, I'll use teaching because that's such a good example. Teaching, nobody should go into the field of teaching or education of any way, shape, or form if your heart is not into it. Because teaching, as we all know, is probably one of the lowest paid fields there is. I mean, I'm experiencing it with my daughter now, but she is doing phenomenal and she's a good leader. But, you're going to be putting time in. And I tell my students this, they're like, oh, I'm only going to work 9 to 5. I'm not putting in evening hours, weekend hours, holiday hours. I'm like, okay, guys, here's the reality. Until you get all of your lesson plans organized for the year or whatever, you're going to be putting in time on the weekends, the holidays, and everything else. So the one skill you need to learn is time management. And that is key. But again, don't go into education unless you really truly have the heart of an educator. And I said that to this recent class that I'm teaching, and they're like, Miss Betsy, you are so right. There's teachers that are just here 9 to 5 and they leave, but their students are struggling. Okay, teaching, you need to help the students learn. Well, it's just like in life. I've learned being in this role as associate director. Yes, I'm considered management, and yes, I've achieved my goal, so to speak. But as a leader, it doesn't mean anything unless I have my hand out and I'm reaching out to you to lift you up, and then lift you up and catapult you above me. That's what a leader does. And I've had to learn that. And, it's okay if I'm still down at this level, because I'm catapulting people up on either side of me, up above me. And,
I love that, Betsy.
And, at the meal site, I see many people who are in need, and, they're a great group of people. The churches and we enjoy serving them, and their views have shaped how I have become a leader, because what they see through their eyes is, I'm sorry, this is another story. A gentleman walked in to the meal site, and everybody was the majority had, went through the serving line and sat down, and they're eating their meal. Well, he has Dockers on. He has a nice dress shirt. Obviously just came in from work. He has a name badge on his belt loop. We all see this image every day. And he came in, he says, I'm hungry. Can I get a meal? And I said, absolutely. Here's your plate. Help yourself. We're happy to serve you. And welcome to Zion Meal Site. And he's like, thank you. And he went and he sat down. I told him you could sit wherever he would like. He sat down by himself, off to the side, enjoyed his meal, and then he left. And I said, I hope I see you tomorrow. We serve Monday through Friday. And a couple of the people who are, from the shelter down the street or whatever that came to eat, they're like, Betsy, you served him. And I said, yes, I did. I said, the only requirement is you have to be hungry to come into this meal site. That's my only requirement. And even if you're not hungry, you want to come in and get a light dinner, I don't care. I'm part Italian. I'll feed you. That's all I know. So anyway, I explained, we don't know if he had to make the decision of giving up grocery money for medicine for his wife or his family.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know his situation until we walk in his shoes. I'm not judge. I'm not going to judge. Only God up above. He knows the situation and he's taking care of it. Obviously, he sent him to the meal site to be fed. So a few years back, my boss, the executive director here, he told me we are all one paycheck away
from poverty.
Yes. And that hit me. I felt like I was kicked by a horse into my heart. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are in the day of today, things can be tossed up in the air and who knows what's going to stick, Exactly. And so just keeping these humble moments is what keeps me going. And it's always a reminder to me. I'll sit here in my office, many things fall on my desk and I have to do them all because we each have succinct roles, and Churches United only has 3 employees. I'm one of 3. And so the executive director, he's out there in the public, meeting with fellow pastors, meeting with the community, meeting with community members, government people in all the cities. That's his role. So my role is here, and I'm doing many hats. Mm-hmm. Pamela knows I wear the finance hat. I'm wearing the hunger hat, hunger ministry hat. I assist with the Winnie's transitional housing hat. I mean, I've got my hands in multiple things. And
I want to go back to something you said because I don't want us to miss it.
Okay.
About the gentleman. And it is a powerful illustration of, it's just like it could be a woman, it could be anybody.
Absolutely.
But we have the expectation that people need to look a certain way to be hungry. And we haven't walked in their shoes, and there's no judgment here. When people are hungry or they're in need, don't be mad at them because they have Dockers on and khaki pants or whatever they may have. You have no clue what has happened in their life. And so that story is so powerful. And I just want to reiterate it because oftentimes we look at someone and we put them in a box and we judge them based on what we see when we haven't opened up the book and read the book. So Thank you for telling that story because it is so powerful. And the other thing you said, and it's sometimes what I put at the end of my emails, lift as you climb. You have to, as you said, you help people ascend above you. And that's what we really need to be thinking about as women, to help younger women, to lift them up, to help them what we weren't taught, because we know as baby boomers, there's a lot of things that we weren't taught. And so it is our task to ensure that we inform or put our arms around younger women and help them if they'll listen, and even if they don't listen. So I just wanted to add those things in there. And thank you for using those illustrations because they're very powerful.
And as well as the male leaders. I mean, Reverend Grimes and the men of my church, they are reaching out and embracing the young men.
Mhm.
because they don't have anyone to guide them. And, and I look at some of, I mean, we all see it in the walks of life, even I'm teaching a few of them, children having children. And I remember being, growing up and having a great grandmother, a grandmother, and, even my mom. And it's like, you know, now in this day and age, children aren't knowing who their grandparents are or have that wisdom that they used to
Right.
bestow onto us, and, it's sad, but, as we know, time changes. So it's all good. So anyway,
It is, and
but
so
yeah.
we actually kind of navigate with that. With
Hmm.
that said, and I'm sure that our parents thought when we came up, look at this generation, and each generation has pros and cons, and
Yeah.
it's imperative that we reach back and try to bring somebody forward
Yeah.
instead of
Amen.
trying to
Yeah.
knock them down. It's like, how can I be of service? And sometimes in this generation, they may not want to hear you, but they are still listening. Don't
Hmm.
underestimate your power of your words, your kindness, and your passion.
Yeah.
It is always there. And, you may not see it in that person. You may not be the one to be able to see the change, but they do
Mhm.
hear. Words are powerful, and our
Yeah.
actions need to be congruent with our words. So,
Even a
okay. All
smile
right.
is powerful, because the other day, I mean, this totally floored me. And, you see these sayings on Facebook or on signs or posters or whatever, but this, this happening floored me. And it made me feel good though, because it's like, okay, um, you walk down the sidewalk or whatever. I was walking across this parking lot and a gentleman was walking into the store that I had just walked out of. And I smiled at him, you know, and he stopped and he goes, "Ma'am." And I turned around and I said, "Yes." He goes, "Thank you for that smile." He says, "I needed that today." And I'm like, "You're welcome." And I said, "I hope you have a blessed day." And I'm like, wow. So even just remember, even if you walk by somebody, just smile at them. You don't know if they may have needed that smile, to give them
Exactly.
that little bit of hope or, whatever. So,
Thank you
but
for
yeah.
saying that. That's powerful. It is. Instead of walking around looking grumpy, you can always find something to be grateful for in your
Amen.
life. You're
Yeah.
walking. You don't have to be walking. You won't even go there. That's a totally different conversation. But
Yeah.
I want to ask you some other questions in
Sure.
terms of how did we arrive here on Passion and Purpose with Pamela? How did we get here? That's important to know. So I want to ask you, you say, how did we get here? I think you know exactly what I'm going for.
Yes. It was that wonderful class that you offered after grant writing. And okay, I'm a Pamela Hardy guru, or not guru, groupie. That's what I am.
She's not
Groupie.
a groupie.
And she, after the after the grant writing class, I was like, wow, and I was just filled and I was excited. And it's like, I'm still excited about writing grants. And now I'm teaching somebody else how to write grants. And so it's like I'm passing it on. And so she came up with this passion and purpose class. I'm like, can I sign up for this? And of course, she's like, well, of course you can. So it's like, as soon as she posted it, I signed up. And I am so glad I did, because this class taught me so many things. And you may think, look at the content or whatever, and it's like, well, this is all stuff I already know. No, you do not know, because yes, you may look at the title and be like, well, yeah, I do this, and yes, I show people, emotion or whatever, or spend time with your spouse or whatever. Okay, yes, we all do, but do you really? And so this class through Dr. Hardy opened my eyes, along with a few of my other colleagues that I knew. And I left that class like, wow. And the homework, oh my gosh, you have to do the homework. I did the homework, and my husband, who okay, you have to know Kurt. He is a very good father. He's a very good man. He's a great supporter and of his family, and family is everything to him. But he's very non-emotional and he won't show emotion. So it's like, okay, fine. So a few of the assignments that was part of this passion and purpose class, it's like, oh, do I not? I was kind of, So anyway, I was like, no, Betsy, you have to do the homework. So I did the homework, and oh my gosh, it opened up doors with him. And now we're communicating even more. We are, we hold hands walking across the grocery store parking lot to go grocery shopping together. We're just enjoying each other. And it was all because of your class. And I remember the one night it was on hugging. And I walked up to him. He was sitting there watching TV. And I walked up to him and just gave him a big old long hug. And he's like, okay, what did I do? Are you okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm okay. And he goes, I said, I just wanted to give you a hug just because. And he goes, and then he heard the class, because I was sitting in the other room listening to the class and I had my earbuds on and it popped out. And he realized, he asked me after the class, he goes, are you in a class? And I said, yes, I am. And I told him all about it. And I said, do you want to listen in? And he goes, no, I'm good. Okay, I kind of figured that. But, it opens up, and Dr. Hardy shows you so many things that, yes, the surface stuff, but you don't know down deep. And that truly is life-changing. And so, yes, I loved this class and it was phenomenal. And so I'm still doing my homework.
You're still doing your homework. Well, the thing about it is, as I said earlier, Betsy is always committed. And then there were some other women who were committed, and they might have known each other a little, but they really got to know each other. And sometimes you have to be a little vulnerable to be able to shift the way that you're thinking, or and a lot of the information is what a lot of us know. But as we know, as we are married, we have raised or in a relationship, we've raised kids, or we have a job, we're navigating so much. The small little things actually disappear. And I remember when before my son got married 25 years ago, I said to him, however you're treating her now is how you have to continue to treat her. If you're buying her diamonds and pearls now, you must continue to do that. And it's no different for the woman. I mean, we can, we looked all nice every time our boyfriend was going to come when we were dating. And then you get married, you come in a raggedy duster and some broken down house shoes. Your hair is a mess. It's like when he gets home, well, I've been cooking. I understand. But first is you. Self-care first for you. And you fill yourself up, and what you have left over, you give to everybody else. But if you're giving it out to everybody else, you don't have anything to give yourself. And then you look a hot mess, and excuse me, or you're tired, you're exhausted, and you're wondering, why don't I have any joy? Well, you got to fill yourself up. You cannot give from an empty vessel. And then I'm going to say one thing, and then I'll return it back to Betsy. When we fly on an airplane and they say, oh, if the altitude and the mask comes down, what do they tell you? They say, put the mask on yourself first. Now, if the airline has enough sense to tell you to put the mask on yourself first, why do you think they do that? Well, if you're trying to struggle and put it on your kids, you pass out and they're saying, mommy, mommy, and you're passed out. So you put it on yourself, then you go to your kids and you put it on them. There is no difference in life, ladies, no difference. That we must fill our vessel up, and it is not selfish, it's self-care, so that you can navigate and give everything to your family, your friends, your community. Okay, Betsy, go on.
When's your next class?
About it.
I'm ready for your next class.
Yeah,
Um, I'll be there.
I know
Um,
you will. I
no,
know you will.
you
You
have
know what, Betsy, I
awesome.
just finished a book and I'm waiting for that to be published, and it is about, it is, I'm going to hold it up. This is the version, but it's not for resale. I don't know if we can see it, but it is Unleashing the New You, a guidebook and journal for women entering their power years. So I'm excited about it.
I'm
Uh,
excited too.
it
I
is
can't
coming
wait.
out, and I am dedicated to women. I am dedicated to their growth. I'm dedicated to, and very, very passionate about it because, again, it's lift as you climb. I didn't go through everything I went through in life not to turn around and give it back to someone.
Right.
So
Yep.
go ahead, Betsy.
Yep. And as Dr. Hardy has alluded, you know, none of our lives has been, smooth sailing and, just glide along on the ice and, okay, do this, this, and this. Oh, we're all good. Oh no. If you really get to know a person, you will discover they have very high mountains and very deep valleys, and we have all, as women, endured them. And whether it's pain, it doesn't matter what it is, sadness, grief, whatever, we've all have our stories. And when you find a friend and you truly, after you're filled, your cup is running over and you share, and even if it's somebody you don't know, I've done this too, and just be a listening ear, and pull from that wisdom of what you've gone through and share it with that woman that you're sitting with right now, listening to her story. You're making a huge difference in that person's life, whether you know it or not. And it could mean the difference to them. And I mean, it could be even somebody who's on the brink of thinking of, heaven forbid, like maybe suicide. And just you taking the time of listening and being that friend or being that listening ear will make the world of a difference. And I mean, you get so much more. Okay, I can only speak on me, but I know from my other two friends who attended the same class with me, we all have gotten more from your class than you think. And it's like, it's the intrinsic other little nuggets that come, and it comes to you after you've finished the class and you've done all the homework and everything. And it's like, oh, and it's like, that's what she meant. And it's like, so this nugget will come at you even after the fact. And it is, I mean, it's a powerful class. It is I would take it again.
Well, maybe I'll do something about that, like for the alumnus, and
Yeah.
put them together, because personally, I really think that the course is so much better when you're taking it in a group, that you can learn collectively together. But if you take it by yourself, it's great, because I'm still going to come on Wednesdays and be in the Zoom meeting. We're still going to have homework and assignments and things in the private Facebook group that only you can get in. And believe it or not, I had more men try to get in that group than women, and it was over 500 people tried to get it, and I was like, no, 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 no. This
Oh my
is a
gosh.
private group,
Right.
and only for the people taking the course. So but there was something that you said, and I wanted to reiterate it, but sometimes if I don't get it right at that moment, I've
You
lost
talking
it.
about my little nuggets that I get? Because it happened a few months ago. It's like Kurt and I were walking, I forgot where we were. We were somewhere else. Might have been out in Des Moines, and we took a weekend. And it was, trying to think of it, but it was like we just started talking about emotions, which I told you Kurt doesn't talk about emotions. And it was just we both felt it. It was just a very heartfelt conversation. That's what I mean by, it's been months, almost 9 months,
It was
6
I think
months.
we did this in March. It
Okay,
or
so about
yeah,
6 months,
February.
right? Okay, so about 6, 7 months after the class, and it dawned on me sitting there having this conversation with him, and I'm like, that's what she meant. That's what I mean is like these little nuggets will come back at you from the class. And it was just so cool because I don't know, I just think that's really cool. But anyway, because it's like it's the gift that keeps on giving. And it's
Oh,
like it's the knowledge that you keep learning, you know.
it
So
is
yeah.
so true. Thank you,
Yep.
Betsy. Oh wow. I there was something you said, but I'm gonna leave it alone. It may come back up, it may not, but there is so much to be said about
Yes.
being a woman and being present. It was about being present and your words. Basically, it was your words and being present because you never know who needs what you have to say. You can say things. Oh, I know what it was. I knew if I kept talking, it'd come back. When you said you don't know where someone is, they may be committing suicide or want to. Well, I had that actually happen to me at a university that I was teaching. And I was going over the syllabi and I was saying what we're going to do. And the student jumped up, ran out of the class. And I put my finger up to the class, said, I'll be back. And I ran after them. And I began, the student began to say, I can't do this. And I said, yes, you can. No, I can't do it. I said, yes, we can. I leave no man or woman behind. We will get through this together. I promise you. Just stick with me. We can do it together. So we came back in the class. Now, fast forward 2 years later, the student came up to me. They had me for another course. And they said, can I speak with you? I said, well, sure. You can speak with me. Well, it might make you cry. And I was like, what is she going to say to me? I had no idea. So we went out, went in the hallway, and she said, do you remember that day that I told you I couldn't do that? I said, yeah, I wanted to commit suicide. And you stopped me. You were there.
Oh,
Now, as a
wow.
faculty member, you had the wherewithal to go with them and say, I'll be here, we'll get through this together. Or you could say, well,
Right.
maybe this isn't a good time for you. Maybe you want to come back. Wrong. Be
Wrong.
present with people. You
Yes.
don't have to be a professor. What you do have to be is present. You know, not sitting talking to people on your phone and doing whatever when someone is talking to you. Be
No.
present with them
Yeah.
because you may miss something that is so important that will be the changing their life, the dynamic that changed their lives. And
No.
so that's present with your spouse, your date, your boyfriend. Be present because you can hear things you ordinarily wouldn't hear.
Right.
So thank you for bringing that up because it is a
Yeah.
powerful story and it changed my life. I just slid down the wall. I just started crying because I knew what my words meant. And those words cemented into my life from that moment on. And if we haven't said anything that captures your attention, if nothing else, remember your words are powerful and to be present with whomever you're talking to,
Yeah.
whether you like your boss or not, whether
Yep.
they're a jerk or not, still be present. You may
Yep.
learn something. So,
Yep. It's those little
okay,
nuggets you
Betsy.
take away.
Now, let's see. We have a few more questions and we're going to wrap up, but I just
Sure.
wanted to make sure that you are able to share your story. And if you had nuggets to give to any other woman out there, because this is everything, we're not excluding men, but this is everything women. If there was one thing you could share with maybe a baby boomer or a Gen Xer or a millennial, I mean, what would it be? What would you share? Your most powerful story or words or quote? I
I
don't know.
would, looking at the world today, there's so much upheaval, sadness, things, there's just many, many things going on. There's too many to name. But, and Dr. Hardy alluded to this, is, and there was a time where, everything was just negative, and it's like, oh my gosh, not this again, and not this again, and not this again. And it's like I was on the passenger side of the car, and something just hit me, and it's like, all right, Betsy, you have a choice. You either can keep going down this negative nanny road, or you can find positives in every single thing that you come across or that you experience. Well, I chose the positive, and I am so glad I did, because I'm making changes to even my father-in-law, who is the most negative person on this earth.
Oh dear.
He'll tell you that Dr. Hardy's shirt is white. No, Dad, it's not. It is black. And, that's how negative he is. But anyway, there's always something. This is my advice to everybody. There's always something, no matter how bleak things may seem, there's always something positive in your life, in that moment, in your world, in your, wherever you are. Even if you're just walking along somewhere, there's always something positive. You're walking along and you're just trying to get some air and just kind of think things through. Look around you. Are the birds chirping? Is the sun shining? Are the trees and the flowers blooming? Those are all positives. You know what? Start with the little things and find those positives and make a mental note that, oh, this is awesome. But, if you always forget of what's around you, put your hand right here and feel that heart beating. That is the number one positive thing, because as long as your heart is still beating every single moment of the day and you're breathing in air, that's the positive. And you have to start with that. And like she said, you need to start with yourself. So you are the positive rod in this whole world of bleakness. And it's like, just go out there and shine your light. And there's people that, I know Dr. Hardy's light is way better, brighter than mine, but it's like, you meet these people who actually exude a light. I mean, I've been told that, but it's like, well, thank you very much. It's because I have a passion and I love what I do. And, that's what we just have to remember. It's like, yes, I've raised my kids. I can't be more proud of them. I've raised good kids. They've never had a lick of trouble. They're making great sound decisions. And, I'll even tease Kurt. It's like, oh, I guess we did pretty good raising two kids, huh? And he goes, yeah, he says, we both had a hand in it. And I said, yes, we did. And, and we are both very, very proud. It's a positive, so just remember, put your hand right here. And as long as you feel that heart beating, you go, girl. We all got this.
There's nothing at that point that I can add to that, because that is powerful. And we just want to be able to thank Betsy for being here today and sharing her life with us, because she could be doing anything else, just like you could be doing anything else. So we thank you, Betsy, for just giving us a glimmer of your gifts. And I just want to say this to everyone. We're all different. We all have a purpose. And the most important thing is that your gift will always say something to me. And we're not the same, because couldn't the world be a boring place if we all had the same gift? Yeah. And so I'm just excited that I had the opportunity to meet Betsy, and that we have been friends, and it's truly been a blessed relationship. And so I just want to thank you from the top, the bottom, the side, each side of my heart. You are a very passionate, dedicated woman. And yes, you are a beacon. And you don't hide your light under a bush. You spread it out for everyone to see. And you're so inclusive with your love and your generosity and your passion. So I just want to tell you, thank you for who you are and your purpose in life.
And thank you for sharing your life and your classes and your knowledge with all of us. I mean, I hope we get to spread more of your classes to everyone because it is well worth it. And you are very knowledgeable. And I've learned, like I said, volumes from you.
Thank
So,
you.
and I'm looking forward to your new book coming out on November 1st on Amazon.
November 1st.
I am ready to buy it.
No, no. And if you don't see it on November 1st, it might be 2nd. I'm having a little glitch, and we're going to get that glitch resolved, and I'm just going to stay on it. And that's just it. And so everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We thank you for Betsy, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next session. Thank you all for joining us today on Passion and Purpose. It's been wonderful to connect with you, and I hope you found our conversation as enlightening and inspiring as I have. A huge thanks to our guests who contributed to the discussion and shared their experiences and insights. Your stories are the heartbeat of this podcast, and it's a joy to explore our passions and purpose together. I'm Pamela, reminding you to live with passion and purpose. Until next time, take care and keep reaching for your dreams.